Sage Wanderer here, and it is a beautiful, glorious morning in Texas. I'm telling you, this is a beautiful sunrise. It's just come up, and man, I'm telling you what, I can hardly make this video over the sounds of all the birds chirping. Boy, nothing like springtime in Texas. It's moments of absolute beauty and I don't know, weather ecstasy, because the weather's wonderful in the springtime in Texas. So it's this glorious weather morning, but there's always this overshadowing because Texas in the springtime is when all the thunder boomers and all of the tornadoes and all the wicked storms happen. And let me tell you, it's been a lot of storm dodging around here for the last few days, but I've been secure in my little anchor down cabin. I'm glad I paid to have the anchors, put in the ground, because I'd be worried to get blowed over. But on that note, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the amazing, incredible, ridiculous miracle that God has done here. Let's just recap. About 7 weeks ago, I left Oregon like somebody was chasing me with my car, with my half paid off car, and my and about $1,000 in cash. When I had a $2,500 tax bill, which actually turned out to be a $2,800 tax bill, and I asked for help from you guys, and man, not only did you help me with my taxes, you were able to collectively give me enough money to make the down payment on this house and to pay for the process of having it delivered and set up, and because you got to pay for all that up front. They don't finance that part. But what I didn't make perfectly clear to you is that when you purchase one of these prefabbed homes like this, and you do it on a on a lease to own or a rent to own basis, you don't have to have any credit. All you gotta do is own your own land. So I just showed them on the tax rolls where I own my own land, and they were able to just put this out here for me at a cost of $8,000 for about a 400 square foot home, tiny home, and that's what they were charging me, was $8,000 plus the about $1,000 for setup. So right at $9,000 out of pocket. Thing is, that's if you pay cash. But when you rent to own like that, and you take 4 years, I set the rent to own for 4 years, so I'd have a low enough payment to make sure that I wouldn't lose the place. But when you do it like that, you end up with paying double. So had I continued down that road, I would have, at the end of 4 years, I would have had to pay $16,000, not $8,000. And, plus the $1,000 for transport and setup and first payment and all that. So, it would have been like $17,000 total out of pocket for this, financed over 4 years. I didn't want to do that, but I was playing it safe. I was playing it with a little bit of lack of faith, if you want to know the truth. When I purchased the place, I told the guy that I hoped that some miracle would come through and I could pay it off, and I wouldn't have to, and I paid off early, and I wouldn't have to pay that full amount, of that double of the amount. The young man that sold me the place, by the time we got to that point in the process, he'd been to my channel, and he'd seen some of my videos and looked through the comment section. And when I told him that I hope to pay it off early, he goes, "Look, we're going to do a 90 days same as cash option on this." He says, "Because I think your viewers are going to help you pay this off. I've been watching your videos, I've been listening to the feedback, and people love you, and you have some really amazing viewers who really obviously love you and care about you." He says, "And there's so many of them." He says, "I think they're going to give you enough money to pay off your house in 90 days. And I kind of chuckled and went, "Well, that'd be nice. Let's put the option on there and just give God a chance, But I never count my chickens before they're hatched, And even in making this video, I wanted to make sure it was a done deal before I talked to you guys. You guys sent me a lot of money. You guys sent me a lot more money than my tax money. Some of you sent me some large sums of money and asked to be anonymous. So I haven't talked about it because, it's hard to talk about it and not gush to some particular people who made some really big donations to this cause. Big for me. I mean, I don't know what you think big is, but to me, this is a big deal. I paid off my house in 30 days. You guys gave me enough money to pay for this house, and so it only cost me $9,000. It didn't cost me $17,000. So I'm sitting here on the front porch of my already previously paid off land that you guys helped me pay the taxes on. And then I'm sitting here on the front porch of my paid for house. God is good and his mercy endures forever. And this is an incredible, incredible miracle for me. I've been a guy who's always shunned riches. I've always walked away from opportunities if it meant that I had to compromise my family or my ethics or my God. And I've never thrown anybody under the bus to make $1. I just something I won't do. I just won't do it. And to see this amazing, amazing miracle on this amazing sunrise morning, I'm here to tell you, today I would have had to make my first payment, my first $300 and some odd payment, my monthly payment. But instead, I paid the full amount. I have received so many wonderful gifts. And whether you gave me $1 or whether you gave me thousands of dollars, and some of you did, give me thousands of dollars. I don't know what I did to deserve it. I don't think I deserve it. But at the same time, I was asking God, what did I do to deserve all of this? And God brought to mind all of the hundreds of hours of volunteer work I've done, all the many truckloads of food I've unloaded, and at the homeless shelter to help feed the hungry, all of the time and energy I spent bringing those 16,000 pounds of food and water and diapers and fuel and to the survivors of Katrina. God showed me all the little kids I fed and helped when I was a youth pastor. I didn't just teach them. I didn't just preach at them. Every Wednesday, I fed the entire youth population of Parker County every Wednesday for years. You came to my youth group, you didn't pay for nothing. Everything was free. And that included boxes and boxes of Hot Pockets and mini corn dog nuggets and chips and sodas. And hey, may not have been the healthiest food, but we had that oven in the church kitchen working like 6 hours straight on Wednesdays. My Wednesday night service wasn't a 1 hour thing. It started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it went till 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. And, this church service part was only about an hour and a half, but we just opened the doors like a community center. And there were video games and there were clean family video games, sports games mostly. And, we had ping pong and we had group activities, group games, and just the hangout. We had the hangout place, And so when I was thinking how much I don't deserve someone to just buy me a house, God told me, let me decide what you deserve, what you don't deserve. What have I ever done to deserve even one of the blessings I've known? Such a crier. I have a female friend that we go all the way back to the early days of the band I talk about from back in the late 80s and early 90s. And she found my channel and she teases me relentlessly about being a crybaby. But I can't help it when I think about the greatness of God. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. God is so good, and his mercy endures forever. I apologize for the wind. It just kicked up. It was kind of still out here when I started. There's a lot left to do out here. I still don't have any electricity. The solar panel system is... I wouldn't want to have to do this forever, especially it just wouldn't work in the wintertime here. I'd have to have some other alternative, or just have to have a bigger system. I'd have to spend thousands and thousands to have enough to run a refrigerator and an air conditioner. And I got to tell you, I need a refrigerator. It is my biggest expense right now is ice. because I have to have ice to keep what food I have out here cold. And I do like to cook, so I like to keep fresh meat and vegetables, and all of that requires 2 ice chests and a couple of bags of ice a day. And when you figure that out, that's about $150 a month just in ice. And I try to go over and cop some ice from my sister's cafe every once in a while, but she's got a business partner who don't much like that. So, and she's been spending less time there, and he's been spending more time there. So I've been having to buy a lot of ice. I need a refrigerator. There's just no way that it's cheaper to buy ice than it is to make it. It's cheaper to make it for sure. I still don't have a well. Although I think I have, if I wanted to spend the money I have right now that's left from the money that you guys have given me, I could pay to drill a well. But I've ran into a problem, and I may have to move the house to the back of the property. And that means I may have to build a driveway to the back of the property, because that's my problem. I don't have a way to get back there. It's just nothing but trees and washed out gulches and stuff between me and the best property in the back. So, it would probably take all I've got to build the road to get back there. And the snag I've ran into is that, see, this little driveway, my property's built like Oklahoma. You know, and it's got this long driveway like a panhandle. It's probably like twice the length of the panhandle of Oklahoma. Figuratively, I mean, you know, not to scale, obviously. But, you know, it's just, if I was to build, I needed to show you guys the plat of how it was drawn out. But 5 months before, unbeknownst to me, 5 months before I cut this property up in my divorce and you know, decided where the property line would be, I mean, my ex figured it out. I thought, anyway, I thought that I would have the option of putting houses up here on this. This section I'm sitting on is only 50 feet wide. It's 50 feet wide by hundreds of feet long, right? To get back to what is about 7 acres in the back, 7.5 acres probably. I got 8.5 total. But anyway, I found out that you have to be 50 feet. That literally 5 months after I had this chopped up, 5 months before I had this chopped up, rather, they passed a law that you have to be at least 50 feet from a property line to sink a well. And my property here is only 50 feet wide, so there's no way I can put a well on this whole section. I have to go all the way to the back. That means I got to build that super long driveway to get back there. Now, I have a little bit of hope. I'm not in total panic mode yet. And even then, I mean, the expense is building the driveway to get back to the property, because moving the house is only a couple $100. I already talked to the guy that brought it out here. He said for $250 he'd move it to the back of the property if I had a road. If I had a road to get back there, you know, I got to have a driveway. The other option is to just keep buying water. Honestly, buying water is not the big expense. I spend very little money. Water's cheap. Ice is expensive, and it's perishable. But water, you know, I don't mind carrying it. It's actually good for me. You might be able to tell I'm getting in better shape here. This shirt, all my clothes are fitting me like an ill-fitting hospital gown, you know. I'm swimming in my clothes. I'm hoping my son is going to mail me some of my skinny clothes. I do have some skinny clothes back in Oregon. He just needs to mail them to me because I can't afford to buy new ones. But right now, anyhow, that's a side point. But I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, carrying water it'll bulk you up, you know. And I don't mind the Porta-John outhouse option. You know, I'm a country boy. It don't bother me a bit. I ain't trying to impress nobody. So water and septic isn't near as important as electricity. So I am going to have to lay down, I've already laid down some money to have some electricity brought out here. I had to spend money to get set up with this electric co-op. I'm on a co-op out here. It's all that's available. I have to pay for them to put in a transformer and drop a line. And then I guess today or tomorrow, as soon as I can get with my sister and borrow her truck, I got to go into town and buy what's called the banjo. It's the electrical box and the meter base and the long conduit and the weatherhead that sticks over with the wire sticking out, and all that's going to cost me about $400 to build, $300 or $400 to build. Plus I got to build it. And I will tell you, I built 3 of these before. In the first one, I used my folding knife, which you've seen many times my Benchmade, to strip the wire, the big double lock cable, to hook the thing up, you know, to make it all work. And I was doing that years ago. It's been almost 20 years ago. And I I knew as soon as I turned the knife backwards, the Boy Scout in me screamed, "No!" And I went back like this, and I almost cut my finger clean off. I had to have 11 stitches. And I will say I just taped it back up for the moment, and I finished wiring that up and getting it done because they were coming to hook it up. And I had to get her done. So I just taped my finger back on and worked around it and got her done. Then I went in to get the stitches, and some young guy was doing my stitches, and I looked him in the eye. I was a little meaner back then. And I told him, I am a professional piano player. I make my hands with my fingers. I made a mistake. You better not make one. This better be the best sewing job you ever done, because if I get to where I can't move my finger and I think it's your fault, I'm coming for you. I only kind of giggled afterwards. I kind of meant it. But he did an amazing job. I can't even see the scar. Like, the pressure worked for that guy. He worked well under pressure, because them tiny 11 stitches put my finger back together, and I never had a problem with it getting in the way of my piano playing at all. Let's hope I don't do that this time. But I just wanted to give you guys an update. I've got a lot of work to do out here. I do a lot of work out here every day just to survive, you know, the carrying the water, and I do my own cooking, and you know, and everything, and my own laundry and stuff, and so all that's time consuming. I'm doing it 19th century style, you know, early 20th century technology, late 19th century technology. And but I'm loving being out here. I'm getting in touch with my inner hermit, I guess. I will say I'm setting some personal records. I've never spent this much time alone in my entire life, and I'm keeping my sanity. That's good. What I had left anyhow. And you know, it's I think it's good for my soul. It's good for my spirit. I'm having a lot of insights into myself. Like, this is me getting to know me, and so that's all really, I think, good for me. And but you guys are making this all possible. I would have been another guy under a bridge potentially had it not been for you, my viewers, listening to the voice of God telling you to help me, because I needed it. I really needed the help, and I still need the help, honestly. I'd like this YouTube channel to be my job. It's kind of what I hoped it would be, my retirement plan. So if you guys want to help me out on Patreon, the reason that Patreon is kind of important to me, and I think I have 3 patrons right now. I'm up to $20 a month or something. But the reason that Patreon is important to me is because it gives me a little bit of security to know that I've got some money I can budget into. You guys have been incredibly generous. Some of you have been amazingly generous. And I just pray that God returns those blessings to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And that, you know, that you're blessed beyond your wildest imaginations. And you know, those of you that have given me large sums of money, you may have a lot of money, and that may not be what you lack, but God can pay you back. You know, I gave time, and God's paying me back with money, amazingly. But you've given money, maybe God will pay you back with time, or with love, or with companionship, or with grace, or whatever it is that you need. Whatever it is that you need in your life, you know, just peace. I hope that God pays you back for the gifts you've given me, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And anyway, yeah, I'll keep you posted on what's going on. I think the next move is electricity on this place, and an air conditioner, and a refrigerator, so I don't have to buy so much ice. All right, thanks for sitting with me, enjoying this beautiful Texas sunrise, and we'll see you next time. God save our republic.